Hi guys, and welcome to Sheddy's Kitchen. I'm Sheddy. Today we're looking at making some sweet rice that is known as Zarda in our language, or Meethe Chawal. It's a vegetarian friendly recipe as well, and it's commonly served in weddings as a dessert. In South Asian weddings it will be served as a dessert, as an Eid special as well, or you can just normally make it at home, but they're the common places where you normally often come across sweet rice. So are you ready? Let's get cooking. For this recipe, we're going to start off with 1 kilogram of rice. Now, the rice has to be prepared beforehand in order for us to ensure that it's ready for cooking. So what we first do is, as you can see quite a lot of water in there at the moment, and we've got the rice, and I'll just lift it gently because I don't want to break the rice, and I'll just show you in picture. You need to put the rice into some water. Rub it between your hands to really wash it off because there's a lot of residue on there. You'll see the water turns quite white. Drain that water out. Repeat the process again, and you're doing with cold water all along. So repeat the process again, fill it up with water again. Rub the rice between your hands. The water will get slightly white. Drain out that water, and then fill a bowl of water. With water, and add the rice back in. Make sure the water is above the rice, and leave that for 1 hour in that water for that period. I'll move that out of the way, it's quite heavy. You'll need half the juice of a lemon. So I've got a lemon over here, so we just need half a lemon. We'll be using the juice from that. $375 grams of unsalted butter. Now, if you want to make sure this recipe is vegetarian, go for a vegetarian friendly one. You need some cardamom pods, and for this you'll need 6 cardamom pods. You need to unpod them, so you just need the seeds from that. We call these lachi, but they are cardamom pods. $350 mils of water. We will require more water later on in the pan, but I'll talk about that while we're actually cooking the rice. $800 grams of granulated white sugar. Now, you can use, normally when you're making sweet rice, you would use, in terms of grams, how many grams of rice you would use, you'd use that much sugar. So if it is 1 kilogram of rice which we're actually making, normally you use 1 kilo, but clearly in terms of ensuring you're not putting too much sugar into there, to reduce the sugar in there, we use about 800 grams. It still tastes absolutely fine with that much. What you need to do next is get an orange, cut it in half, eat the other half, don't waste it, and get the peel off half the orange. So we've got half, and just slice them to this size. And also you'll need half the orange unpeeled for later on as well, because we need the juice from that for this recipe. $75 grams of almond slices. What we've done over here, we've got whole almonds, we've had the skin on them, but we've put them into boiling water. That softened the peel, we've just removed them from the skin, and then we've sliced them in half. 40 grams of raisins, and with the 40 grams of raisins we will just wash them in water as well, just to make sure they absorb some of that water and soften up a bit before we use them in the cooking process. In terms of the almonds and the raisins, and the next ingredient I'm going to show you, which is the coconut. And with the coconut, in this example, we're using 25 grams, and they are sliced coconut, as you can see. But with the almonds, the raisins and the coconut, it actually doesn't matter. If you prefer more of that in your recipe, you can add more. We're just going by the guidelines we normally use. I'm not using pistachio nuts today. You can put them in if you want as well. A lot of people do have a tendency to put in pistachio nuts. That's purely preference to how much and what you want to add in there. Half a teaspoon of salt, and the reason why we're adding the half a teaspoon of salt is because our butter is unsalted. 100 grams of glazed cherries. Now some people like cherries, I absolutely love them, some people don't. Again, that is choice, but normally you would put the cherries into there. We always have put cherries into there, so 100 grams of that. If you want to put more, if you want more cherries in there, put more. That's absolutely fine. They can go in whole. Two teaspoons of kevra water. Now it says Cura on there, we pronounce that as kevra. If you can't get kevra water, get rose water instead, and it's 2 teaspoons of that. And last but not least, and this is purely up to the preference of the colours you're going to go by, you can get food colouring differently. So with food colouring, we're going for this lovely orange colour. Traditionally, we just put the orange one in at the start to make the whole rice orange, but you can make it very colourful and go crazy. So we're using orange, green and red. I will show you how to prepare them during the cooking process right at the end. Quite simple, and you just drop a few drops of that in and it gives the sweet rice a lovely mixture of colours. But again, it's up to you which colours you go for that. So you're going to start off needing a large pan that we've got over here. We fill this with 4 litres of water. It doesn't matter if you get slightly more water than that, but the more water, you can always drain that out later on. But 4 litres is what we're starting with for the 1 kilo of rice that we're using. What we've done in the background is we've drained the rice of water now that we had before. That'll be ready to go into this. Be very careful when you're handling that rice now, because it's been soaking in water. It has a tendency to break, so the last thing you want to do is move it around too much with your hands at this stage or any point during the course of the whole cooking process. We've set this water on to boil. You can see it's boiling now, so we've just done that so that it's a bit quicker, and you could have done that in the background yourself while you're preparing everything else. But now that it's actually boiling, we're on a high heat, we're going to add half a lemon to that. So we're going to squeeze the juice of half a lemon into that. Make sure we get every bit of it. Make sure you take out the pits or anything like that. You don't want them coming into your dish at the end. They don't taste very nice when you're chewing on them. So squeeze half of the juice of a lemon into there directly. There we go. And to that we're going to add the rice. I'll be quite careful adding the rice, and I will let you know how long the rice needs to remain in there to carry on cooking. We are aiming to get to a stage where the rice is al dente. We'll show you how to look at what indicators you need to look out for that. So originally I'm going to probably leave the rice to boil for about 5 minutes in there in the pan, but we will come back to it and I will give you more of an indication to how long I've actually left that in there and what kind of indicators you require. So to that, we're going to gently add the rice in now. And to this rice, like I said, I'm just going to pop this in now, but you're going to gently stir it every so often. So once the rice is in, it will carry on boiling, but gently stir it every so often. You don't want to break the rice into smaller pieces. For about 5 minutes or so, we'll come back to this and we'll have a look at where we are at that point. So just do remember, keep coming back and give it a gentle mix, as gentle as you can without really breaking the rice up in there. So there you go, the rice is in. And we'll come back to that in approximately 5 minutes time. So the rice has been boiling for about 5 minutes now, and just to quickly check this, I'll just pull out some rice from there and show you. It's quite hot, and from there you can see when I press them, they split into halves quite easily. So we're ready to actually take that off. That needs to go off heat quite quickly. Don't leave it too long because the likelihood is the rice will become mushy. So what we're going to do at this stage is I'll take it completely off heat. We're going to drain the rice, so make sure you've got a sieve, drain it, try not to handle the rice because it will break in your fingers. But once you've drained the rice, when the water's run through, rinse it in cold water, so run cold water over your sieve, over the rice, and let that water just sink through without you actually touching the rice. Okay, so while the rice is draining away and we've run that cold water over it, the purpose of that is to make sure the rice doesn't stick together. That's draining away on the side now, and we've got an empty saucepan again. To this, we're going to add the butter. So I'll add in the butter to that to melt away, and give that a moment to melt. And once that melts down, I'll add the cardamom seeds to that. Give that some time. It is on a high heat, it will melt quite quickly. You can see it going on melting quite efficiently now. While that's melting, I've unpodded 6 cardamom pods of their seeds, and I'm just going to drop the seeds into there as well. And it'll melt alongside it. Sweet rice is commonly served at plenty of Asian weddings, or made on special occasions like Eid quite a lot. So it's a very common dessert that it often finds itself onto many of the dessert menus. Lovely smell. So to this now, I'm going to add 350 ml of water. And I need to dissolve the sugar into there, so it was 800 grams of sugar. And give that a mix and let that dissolve. Quite syrupy now, quite thick. Give that a bit of time to dissolve. So we're starting to see some bubbles, the paste starting to boil now a bit. We just need to make sure the sugar is dissolved as much as possible in here. important thing here is just make sure that we've got plenty of water in there. If you don't have that water, it will start sticking and it'll start burning. So we've got plenty of water in here at the moment. Just give it a moment. When it starts to boil, I think most of the sugar is dissolved now. We will add the next part of the ingredients in. You can see the bubbles coming up nicely now. It's turned quite white. That's absolutely fine. That's what you want to happen. The sugar is dissolving nicely in there. We're going to stir that for about a minute longer before we add the next part of the ingredients in. You can see the sugar has dissolved really well in there. Okay, so we'll add to that the orange peel, half an orange peel into there. I'm going to give that about a minute or so more, a minute and a half more, and just stir that in before we move on to the next ingredients. Now it is common to add orange peel into this recipe. It adds really nicely to the flavour. I'm not massively fond of biting into these, but they are the standard when it comes to making sweet rice. Okay, that's been boiling for about a minute or so with the orange peel in there. Let's add the next ingredient. So we're going to add to that the almonds, and we give them a bit of a wash. So the almond, raisins and coconut, you can wash them. The raisins, when you wash them, they'll just absorb some of that water. So add the almonds to that. We add the coconut to that as well. And remember, as I mentioned before, you can add stuff like pistachio nuts in. That's your choice, and the amounts or the masses of the raisins, coconut and the almonds that we've given are purely just a guide. It's what we use. You can chop and change them to however you feel. Again, now we'll give this a bit of a mix. What we're aiming for over here is we want some of the water to evaporate off over time, and for this to become quite syrupy. Right, to this now we're going to add half a teaspoon of salt in. If you remember back, we had half an orange. We need to squeeze the juice of half the orange into this recipe as well. There we go. All the juice is out. That's it. I think I've squeezed the life out of this one. Good. We'll give that a mix again. Right, to this now we're going to add our rice that we've been draining on the side. Once you've added the rice, you need to just keep gently stirring it until the water levels of this mixture goes down. We want to reduce that water down, so let's add the rice to that. We've been draining that away for a while, so just be gentle how you handle the rice as well. I'll pop that into there. Try not to break the rice with your hands. It's just as long as you're not being absolutely rough with it. So the rice is in, get it all in. We want to give that a mix. It'll be quite hard to stir this now, so just get something that you can hold on to with the pan. I've not got a handle on this pan, so I use a tea cloth as you see. But really get a grip off it and mix this in. Just be very careful, you don't want to break the rice. There you go, that's it, we've mixed it. I've given that a mix, and now we're just going to leave that for the water to reduce down, or the mixture in there to reduce down. I'll let you know how long we've left that for, and we'll come back to this. I've come back to this now 5 minutes later, and I've dropped the heat onto a low heat. Most of the water's actually gone. We're coming up towards the final stages, and I'll talk about what you need to do. We need 2 teaspoons of the Kevra water, or rose water if that's what you've got. And you want to just spread, at this point over here, be aware we're not actually mixing any of the rice. We don't want it to break. We can do that much later on once the whole process is done, but we don't want to mix it now to avoid breaking that rice. So we will gently dot around the Kevra. There's 1 teaspoon there. And let's just do another one. There you go. And just gently distribute it evenly across. You don't need to mix that in. We'll get the glazed cherries now. And with the glazed cherries, same thing applies. We're using 100 grams, so I'll use half of this pot, and I'm just going to put them around the top. I'm not mixing that in now. They will be mixed later on. We will do that, just not now. Just quickly spread them quite sticky. No worries or concerns about trying to make it fancy. I'm just evenly distributing now. They will get mixed in nicely later on. And then if people want to fight over the cherries when they're eating it, they can fight all they like. Just not now. There you go, there's 100 grams of the cherry approximately put into there. And this final bit I'm going to explain is how to add the food colouring. If you remember at the start we had 3 food colourings. Ours were powdered food colouring, so I'm going to have to use 3 cocktail sticks here, or just use different fingers so that the colouring doesn't mix up. So if you look, I've got the red food colouring over here at the moment, and in that food colouring I've added a few drops of water with a pinch of the food colouring, because we were using powdered version. If you get the liquid version, you clearly don't have to add the drops of water in there, but with that it's quite important to give it a mix, which I've done over here with this first cocktail stick. You just don't want to end up mixing up your fingers with the different colours, because it defeats the purpose of adding it to the rice. And we're going to split this rice top surface into a third. So in 1/3 of it I will just literally pour 1 drop of red. Later on it will mix in and it will separate out as it goes through the rice. So I'm going to add the first colour to the one bit, add 1 splodge only. I am not mixing that. Get your second cocktail stick and do the same with the next colouring. So we'll give that a bit of a mix. I'm using lovely orange. Orange is the common one that we use. I'll add that to the other third on the other side, to one place only. Let that drop out there. There you go. And let's just get the last one. And I've got a lovely green for this last one. We get the green colour. Give that a mix again, and that's going to go into the final third splodge over here. So it's evenly about 120 degrees away in terms of angles away from each other, and we will pop that into the final bit over here. So there you go. So just pop it into there. And the last stage, still on a low heat, is to make sure we trap that steam in there and allow that for about 15 minutes on a low heat to continue to cook and absorb that water. What we've done over here, we've done it previously before, is we've tied around the lid a cloth, as you can see over here. So that will hopefully keep the steam in, and it will create a seal in the pan if it's not evenly. If you don't have a cloth that's long enough to go around, you can add foil around this lid anyway. So just coat it with foil completely. Pop the lid onto there, and you want that now on a low heat for the next 15 minutes, and we'll come back to that. So we've left this on the stove now for 15 minutes. I've just turned the gas off. What we're going to do is we're going to leave this now off the heat for the next 10 minutes, then you can give it a good mix. That is now ready. I don't think you're going to see a more colourful dish than that. Time to get the approval of my parents. Well, I got the seal of approval. For many more of my recipes, to keep up to date, please subscribe to my channel, click that notification bell, and I will see you soon.